guess we're going to bring the April 28th, 2025 Rochester Select Board meeting to order. It is 5:00 p.m. We have been posted in 3 places, the Skip Mart, Post Office, and the Town Office, as well as the website, and all interested parties have been emailed, so we do have a legal meeting. First item on the agenda will be approving the prior meeting minutes, which I have reviewed, and Mike, I'm assuming you have as well. So I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the minutes from the last meeting, as well as the special meeting minutes from April 3rd, 2025.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So meeting minutes are approved.
Pat also approves the minutes.
Thank you, Pat.
You weren't there last time.
I didn't know you were here.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Oh, there you are. All right, so moving on to departmental reports. First stop is the library.
So I was here last month because I had 2 people that I needed to be appointed by the select board, and Patty said that had to be warned. So they're on the warning, and I don't know if anybody's been challenged, but I'm hoping I can tell both of them they can come in and see Julie tomorrow and become trustees.
Yeah, we do have that in the new business section. So we'll take care of that at that point. Great. And moving on to highway. Anything change?
Checking culverts.
Checking culverts.
And hopefully we're gonna deal with the paving. With Bethel Mountain here.
Okay, that
The
also.
thing I have is there will be a dumpster in the yard for Saturday on Green Up Day.
Okay, and that will be right out here in at
Yeah.
the town office. Okay. Perfect.
Pat has her hand raised.
Okay, Pat?
I have a question for Cooter about the sidewalk project. Since we met with Rita and the rest of the crew, you were going to have a meeting with them about the sidewalk on the bottom of Bethel Mountain Road. Has that taken place yet?
Yeah, I met with him. He was supposed to get back with a new plan.
Okay, just as long as we're
And actually, his plan wouldn't have worked anyway. Terry's got a short catch basin within a foot of the sidewalk, so he couldn't come out a foot.
okay, good. Thank you.
So that's something to revisit. All good for highway?
That's all I got.
Okay. And on to utilities.
Yeah, good spring walk around today. Everything is, well, I still have my regular problem.
So all is typical.
Right, we haven't got any surprises.
Yeah, I went with Terry today and crew. Happy to learn a lot more about your facilities. Thank you for having me.
No problem.
All right.
Check over. Give you Lawson.
All right, so moving on, Jeff, our energy coordinator.
Yeah. I need somebody on the board who I can bounce things off of. The decision on anything that I'm working with is gonna go to the board, but I wanna make sure that I'm even going down the right path, with respect to the municipal energy, resiliency, program. I've prepared a, in progress group of drafts for some of the documents that I think we're gonna need. But developing a request for proposals is not something I've done a lot of. And when I did do it, it was 30 years ago. So I suspect the town has some ways of doing this and that, I'm going to need to get the verbiage on insurance and taxes and, you know, everything that's involving subcontractors that, we'll have to work with. Frank had kind of, I guess officially, unofficially, had been, keeping an eye on what I was doing. But I feel a little rudderless right at the moment.
Okay,
Before I go any further with the MERP, I just wondered if we reached closure with, I saw that the board approved the streetlight option 2. Has notification gone to Green Mountain Power?
Well, you weren't here last time.
Right,
We
yep.
did approve it. I don't know what has to happen in order for it to proceed.
I put together a memorandum of understanding, and that, if it agrees with you, can be signed and sent to them. They have not seen it. But if nobody knows of that being mailed out, then I'll
Okay.
fax or whatever.
well, there was an email chain that I was also involved in. All of us were in that with someone from Green Mountain Power with the verdict on that, which I was assuming was the go-ahead. But I might be wrong on that. So we'll have to follow up. And just make sure that
I
gets
can follow up
executed
if you want. Contact.
Yeah. by all means.
But just want to make sure it
Okay.
didn't get.
I mean, as far as
Um,
the board approval, you know, Pat and I both,
Mhm.
you know, we had a formal vote and approved it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Pat
Um,
is shaking her head like
yeah.
she agrees with that, yeah.
Okay. So as far as a contact, for Jeff, would you want to take that on, or
Sure,
since I'm already gonna be knee deep with VHI, you could,
that's fine.
and then it might be a little more in your wheelhouse with the contracts and stuff, that Jeff might need help with.
And I can
Fair enough.
certainly
That would
support
be-
with that.
That would be great.
Okay.
Yeah. Either scare you away or whatnot. I just, this is a work in progress.
Okay,
I'm just, right now, I'll leave this with that. Just trying to scoop everything that needs to be in that, the bid request and so we probably need some moving things around, getting the attachments, you know, figured out in a smarter way. One of the things that's, we have to update or upgrade, Americans with Disability Act, work here in the building in order to get the MERP money as well. And, we thought, we were pretty solid with that, that we needed a door downstairs and this bathroom modified. I found a letter, I think, it was to Terry Schaefer in the early 90s after the elevator was put in, and it listed another 10 things that needed to be done. Many of those things were downstairs, and it was deemed at the end of the 93 letter that was all that was needed because there was no public use of that space. Now, I went, you know, around looking at all of that again to try to figure out what has to happen with ADA before we can do all the other fixes. And it appears that we are no longer free of doing as much work because there is now use by the public in the room where the veterans gear is all set up. So that, if that's going to maintain or continue to be an area where public use is allowed, then we've got to do more work on the ADA side.
Okay.
And really, if you think about where the doors are located and downstairs, pretty much the first door you get to would be the one to get people in a little easier, and that's the one that they wanted done regardless. But then every time we get to a threshold, we've got more work to do or a door opening. And so in the folder that I just gave you, I've itemized, you know, the things that have to be done, and I have a spreadsheet for it as well to try to help out. So that's something that will impact how much we try to do with the MERP funds.
So this is all stuff that the MERC funds would be applied to?
We can use up to 20%
Okay,
of MERP funds. But, you know, and we got a project that this is not new construction, so there are going to be things that will surprise us along the way.
right. And what's the current use down there? You mentioned veteran stuff being set up. That's just not something I'm aware of.
It's evident from a walkthrough.
Okay,
I have one other use is Feed in the Valley has a freezer and a couple refrigerators down there that are used occasionally.
okay. I'm just thinking back to the nineties, and I can recall Valley Rescue being down there, and then following at some point, the constable's office was down there.
Yeah.
So,
But the veterans, like their space is like right under this part of it. And they don't even meet once a month, right?
Yeah, they just come and go. I don't.
They
know.
like, I don't even know that they meet, do they? I mean,
think
they
so.
come to, they do meet occasionally, have meetings. Okay.
it still has public use, so.
Yeah, it's like their store.
I would not say that it's used very often, and I think you should ask Jeff Brown how much they use it. The town is required to provide space for the American Legion, and that's why they're down there. And that came about
Okay.
when the town took over the GAR hall. And so you might talk to Jeff Brown to see how much they use it, or whether or not they could come up here and use their space.
Okay.
And Terry,
Okay.
That being cat back and down there too.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's why I'm,
actually,
they turned it off. Gone.
okay. Yeah, that's why I'm kind of curious how much it actually does get used for
Doesn't-
public.
We can request that, they just have their meetings
And
here.
maybe we just have to move stuff out of there.
Yep.
Other than storage, so. Okay, well, we'll follow up on that stuff. And anything else, Jeff?
yes, I have gone back to the auditors with requests for more information, more detail. You know, and again, this is where I need a sanity check with the board and the community. I'm approaching this from the standpoint of not creating any new fossil fuel infrastructure in buildings that we work on. So the proposal, for instance, for this building was to do a wood pellet furnace, or to use air source heat pumps and a propane backup. Now, when I look at the insulation package that was proposed for this building, it's limited by the fact this is an existing building, but they were not maximizing that. So I'm trying to figure out whether increasing the insulation would enable us to do air source heat pumps without a propane backup. The state of Vermont is supporting pellet furnaces and stoves. Efficiency Vermont has rebates for them. But in the reading and research I've done, I don't think that that's the technology that we want to use, especially going to scale. And you know, again, that may be a position others don't hold. Dune put it in his complex, and the school put one in down there. But it's another case where we're going to be burning things that are not good to have in the atmosphere and, you know, that's my bias from the studying that I've been doing of the issue, but I need to know if that's shared by others, or whether at least our first option is to try to do it without burning stuff.
Which building are you talking about now?
Pellets?
Our
This building here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, in the garage, the push is for more insulation and simply replacing the LP gas burners or unit heaters with electric ones.
All right. Well, you know, I'm coming to this fresh
Mhm.
now, but I'll work with you and we'll figure it out.
Sounds good.
Yeah, yeah, do you have each other's emails
Oh, yeah,
potentially? Okay.
yeah.
I'm just not sure if Mike got the assessment and proposal for all that stuff in the past.
The big document?
Yeah, the original, I know I received it at one point with all the information there, but oh, he came armed.
He's ready.
Oh, thank you.
You win.
So that would be all the information that you wish to know
Yeah, and
right
then
there. And then we can revisit and dig into that a little more.
Actually, did I just give you the one with all my highlighter on it? Yes.
Right. So are we good to move on at this point? Okay. So updates on grants that are out there.
I do not have any updates this week, really. I am working on, other than, I'm just working on getting everybody's time, spent on the LHMP grant. So I'm working, with the state on that to get that taken care of. We're trying to get that reimbursement in as soon as possible, because FEMA is closing down all of the brick grants for DPS, so we are working fast to get that in. That's my focus.
And that's basically a reconciliation of man hours.
Yeah, basically,
Basically,
trying to, find out what we had for in-kind hours. So then we know how much percentage of the bill they'll pay. Yep, I think we're gonna be short, so. See.
Okay. Fair enough. So moving on to the next item would be the high school repurposing committee, also known as VHI.
I'll start with both of these as well. So speaking of grants, we did submit on behalf of the town two major grant applications this month, one for $750,000 for a community development block grant, which we should learn the results of either late June or early July. And then also a $1 million grant application to the Northern Borders Regional Planning Commission, which we expect to learn response to in July. So a couple of big things I'll keep our fingers crossed about for the next couple of months and see how they come in. A lot of work went into this, so I appreciate Kristen particularly, was very directly involved in this. And these things are always anxiety provoking. You get right up to the deadline. And, oh, yeah, I need this and I need that. And I need this. But we made the deadlines. And so let's see what happens. In addition to that, we've begun working on the transition of some of the operational responsibility from the school. Walter and I met with the principal, Lindy Stetson, and Erica Harrington in the office to work on the transition for people who are going to use the school building in the summer. So that's the summer music program for kids, the players theater camp, the Suzuki Week, and maybe a few others. Make sure that they have the space they need, it's clean, ready to go, you know, all issues are, and so that's been actually enjoyable meeting with some of those folks to get that going. And then the third thing I would mention is the cleanup project, it continues, took another dumpster out about half the size of this room of junk. And, there's more to go, but, it's a tremendous amount of work has been done, and, some of the people who were directly involved in it, they're not here today, but, like, Michaela and, Aja and
Hmm.
Chad. Okay. And who done?
Michaela's on the Zoom.
Oh, she's on the Zoom, okay. Aja, Mary Frattini, and a number of others, and Walter. So we're very fortunate to have such volunteer spirit working on this project. Walter, anything you want to add?
Do you want to mention the update on the PCBs?
Well, it's still incomplete at this point, so we'll just hang on that.
Okay. What is the projected end kind of end game on that?
On PCBs?
Yeah,
We should learn pretty soon. We get some preliminary information, but it's still incomplete, so I expect within the next couple of weeks, things will be much
Okay.
clearer.
okay. Anything else?
I'll just say that in my continuing efforts to try to come up to speed on things, Vic and Walter were kind enough to tour me around the school, which I was never inside before.
Oh, wow. So you got a treat.
Yeah,
Right. So I guess moving on to select board updates.
Pat has her hand up.
That's Pat?
So since our last meeting, I have sent an email to the health officer about the property at 3620 Route 100. I've not heard back from him yet. Number two, submitted hours to Kristen for the LHMP development to be considered as in kind towards the grant. So maybe if you are going to fall short, we put our heads together and see if there were other people involved. So we could perhaps capture more. Kristen, we could get together on that. Number three, if you are, we've had some disturbing phone call reports around town. So I just wanted to say publicly, if you are receiving phone calls from people that you find disturbing, there is something that the Vermont State Police can suggest you do if you have concerns about it. And so since this was happening, I thought I would mention that to everyone that visits our select board meetings. I got my sidewalk plan update from Cooter, and that is it from the select board for the last couple of weeks.
Enough. All right, so I guess that's it for reports. So moving on into the new business section. The March treasurer's report. I believe we've both seen,
yes,
and I am going to make a motion to approve the March treasurer's report.
second that.
All those in favor?
Aye. At Harvey.
All right, so March treasurer's report is approved. Whoop, paper there. Next up, we have a park use application for Pierce Hall on 6/22/2025, 12 PM to 4:30 PM for their annual ice cream social. And we do this pretty much or we don't do this, but the town has every year that I can remember. So I am going to make a motion that we approve the use of the park for that.
Second,
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
At Harvey.
So the application for Pearsall is approved. I guess there's only one signature on that.
Yes, there is.
Oh, John, sorry.
Dates on that?
This date is 6/22/2025. And that's from 12 PM to 4:30 PM. Since that's what the rest of everything says. Okay, now. Are these all numbered because this is the order that we're moving them? Okay,
No, coincide with them, sorry.
okay. Oh, perfect. I hadn't broken the Kristen code yet.
That's the Julie code.
Oh, Julie code. Yeah, Julie code broken. All right, so moving on to number 4, the park use application.
No.
For Rebecca Miller.
No. You skipped two.
Yeah, we're gonna swing back to those in just a minute, Martha.
Okay, I'm sorry, excuse me.
I'm trying to stay in order of my documents here.
Oh, okay, it's not in the order of the one I got, that's all, that's all.
So this is the park use application for Rebecca Miller Baked Goods, Memorial Day to mid-October. And Tuesday and Thursday, 11 AM to 2 PM. This is an application I have not seen yet, so. So this will be setting up a table on the park to sell baked goods. Starting Memorial Day weekend and then Tuesday and Thursdays. Myself, I see no problem with that,
So
so.
like an all summer thing?
It looks to be an all summer thing,
Okay.
repeat performances. So I'm going to make an motion that we approve that.
Second,
All those in favor?
I,
Aye. You almost had me trained, Pat.
Doing great.
Okay, so next is a letter of intent to participate in road grants or grants and aid for fiscal year 2026.
That's just a document that we sign every year,
Yep.
With Rita Cito. Just letting them know that we plan on participating. It's not like agreeing to anything. It's not making any promises, but if something comes up that we want to apply for, once we sign this, we can apply for it, so.
Okay,
This puts us in the game.
okay, I think we talked about this at some point too.
Drainage work,
Okay,
ditches, culverts, pretty important.
okay. I'm gonna make a motion that we approve that.
second, sounds like we better.
All right. All those in favor? Aye.
Hi, Pat Harvey.
There's Pat.
So your signature is just on that front page. You can
That's
print
it?
first and then do a slash and then sign it. I know, it's asking a lot. You're doing good.
Some thumbs. This goes against my hammer swinging muscles right here.
You'll be used to it.
Okay, number 6, this is to choose a paving company for the Bethel Mountain Road project. And we did receive 3 bids on this.
We reached out to 4 companies and received bids back from 3. And I just have the email that I sent to you guys along with the 3 quotes. Just, I didn't know if you needed to look it over or if you were able to on your computer.
Yeah, I'm caught up on this.
Okay. And I believe we came to the conclusion of going ahead. Yep,
Sorry, start.
go ahead, Pat.
I just want to bring up the question of, why this didn't go out to bids. Was it supposed to go out to bids? Because it is funded by grant, so I just don't want to overstep the bounds of the grant. So I don't see where this went out to bids.
Wow. I showed it to 4 people, isn't that going out the bid? Oh,
I just,
kind of-
I'm thinking, some grants, you do have to go out for public notice bids, like putting it in the paper and things. So I just want to double check to make sure that we conform to the language of the grants that's going to pay for this.
Okay, Kristen is reassuring us that we did conform to that. It was my understanding the invitation went out to those on our bid list. And 3 replied, so.
This is a class 2 grant with the state of Vermont, and it does not require like a bid posting and to be like have that 45-day notice or whatever in the paper and all that. That's not a requirement.
And
All
yeah,
public,
go ahead.
other contractor doesn't say, hey, I wasn't aware of it. So I want to make sure that we're all transparent with it.
Yep. All right, so I believe all that criteria is met, and the decision was made to accept the bid.
Who
Yeah, we
responded?
needed to know.
Okay, so all 3 of them,
Which 3?
so the first one here is DNF Excavating and Paving. And do you need amounts and all that stuff? So they were quoting, and this is for 2,200 feet on the lower section. Is that? Maybe that'll just be too confusing if I start. Yeah, so,
It would be 7450
total,
total,
okay,
2 different sections.
okay. Right, and that's why I was kind of curious if I was getting too far into numbers. So 7450 total for projected footage, and they came in at 88.75 per ton of mix used, and that was DNF. Pike Industries was number 2. And they're second in my little folder here. So they came in at a unit price of 88.74 per ton used. Total price is listed at 195,228
Right.
for the projected
Yeah,
footage.
the end of that. I'll count the pennies every day. And draw the line when we get out of pennies.
Keep an eye on our budget and when we get it.
It may be,
Fair enough.
it may be
Right,
a little longer, maybe a little shorter.
right. And that's exactly why I say projected footage. These are basically estimates for what they think they're gonna cover. So number 3 was Wilk Paving. And they came in with a unit price of 92.50 per ton. And they did not have a total.
At 20, well, they projected 25.15 tons. So at 92.50, that would have been 232,637. So they quoted a higher amount of tons and a higher price per ton.
Correct. Thank you.
There's really no accurate way to estimate the shim tonnage because the road is so rough. And
Right, and if, I'm sure everyone has had an experience
They're
with Bethel
figuring out
Mountain
the
Road
map
lately,
is
so,
flat, and Bethel Mountain is not.
Right.
yes. So we know that there's a questionable amount that will be used for shimming and what will actually be seen. So with all that being said, yes,
Sorry to interrupt. We do have a hand raised, from somebody who's on their phone. I don't know if now's the time or not, but I just wanted you to know. And then Pat also has her hand up again as well.
okay. Well, let's go with Pat first because she would be typically sitting here.
Okay.
So she may have some insight here.
My input is only that, Pike, would probably, and Cooter can follow up on this if he doesn't agree, Pike would probably be sending a lot more trucks. The paving would happen quicker. You wouldn't have time between pavements, so it would seal up better along the way, than DNF. And since their per ton is the lowest, I think that perhaps that would be the right way to go with Pike for service application and all around. They've got a lot of trucks with a lot of tons that they can ship and get it done quickly. If Cooter does have feedback, he can let me know.
I'm gonna disagree a little bit.
Go ahead.
One thing, Pike's mix is gonna be 15% wrap. And DNF's mix will be all virgin material. So I think the virgin material is gonna seal better. And Gary will put 8 or 9 trucks on, he'll have plenty of trucks.
Okay. I'm sure then you will see to it. Yep, perfect.
Okay, and the person on the phone, can we just check in if it's just a random public comment? We're gonna hold that until public comment, but if it's something to do with this, more than happy to
Okay, Robert, do you hear that from Chad?
comment.
Hello.
Your phone? Sorry, go ahead.
Hi, Robert.
Hey, how's everyone doing on this beautiful Monday?
Not bad. Robert, I was just telling Kristen that if your comment has something to do with the item that we're dealing with right at the moment, more than happy to let you talk right now, but otherwise we're gonna hold comments until public comment.
I think that's incredibly respectful. And I would like to have commented, but I don't think it's worth my time to comment
Okay,
until the public meeting or the public comments come up.
okay, sounds fair to me. So we're gonna go ahead and move the item at hand, and I am going to make a motion that we accept DNF Excavating and Paving's proposal to execute the paving on Bethel Mountain Road.
I second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
At Harvey.
and sounds unanimous, so I'm gonna go ahead and sign that. Okay, so that was number 6 on the list, but not the last item to be taken care of. So swinging about right back around to the library. In concern of appointing Vincent Martinez for a 1-year term as library trustee. As one item, and I think we can probably do these as both at the same time.
Sounds good.
I think, and to appoint Melody, is it Belzon, for a 3-year term as library trustee. And I am going to just, yes,
The question on that,
sure,
is she the one that is replacing?
She's replacing Doreen.
So really what you should be doing is
But we're gonna, but
she has to fill out Doreen's. If
Yeah, she was gonna fill out Doreen's term.
But so then you only approve it until the end of Doreen's term.
Well, I mean, I guess
Okay.
it would be the same thing like Vincent this year was gonna come up, and then that's when this other woman stood up for the 1-year term, and then she withdrew her candidacy, but it'll happen at town meeting, that they'll
Okay.
both have to get
So-
appointed by the
But so
town.
they only appoint to the end of this year and then they have to.
They have, with
Okay.
the stipulation that they will be appointed at town meeting.
So just to make sure all i's are dotted and t's crossed, who will each person be replacing?
So the 1-year term was Robin Bebo.
Okay,
And Doreen Jones was for Melody.
And Doreen's term would have been up when?
The 2028, does that sound right?
I don't have it in front of me.
Sounds you, Julia?
I think so. Yes, actually, I think so.
okay, so I'll roll through this again with the little bit of impromptu new terminology here. So I'm going to propose that we appoint Vincent Martinez for a 1-year term, replacing Robin Bebo Long, and to fill up the remainder of her term. So it may not be a complete year. For-
It'll be till town meeting, and then
Okay.
that
Town
will
meeting,
come up
right.
for a 4-year.
For
term.
library trustee, and also we'll make a motion that Melody Balzone will complete the term of Doreen Jones, which is listed as a 3-year term as library trustee. Does that sound a little more?
For the 1 year,
Be 1 year, you gotta.
1 year, and
You
then
just have to go to town meeting.
just until town
Okay.
meeting. yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so they will both be 1 year then. And revisited at town meeting. Okay. Yeah, that sounds right. So I will make a motion that we approve both of those.
I second.
All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Hi, Pat Harvey.
Okay. That one was a little painful, but we got through it.
ridiculous.
Um. Okay, then moving into any old business there might be out there. I have none in front of me currently. Yes,
Since Jeff is here also, the north side of the library building, I know we got an estimate from Redmond about it some time ago, and I didn't know how we would be dealing with that. I thought I would just ask all of you.
okay. I'm gonna go ahead and ask Pat, do you have any knowledge of how that's moving forward?
I think all we did was get an estimate, and we didn't take any action after that.
Okay,
It was a pretty substantial fee for the estimate.
I know it's in bad shape, and the people who are repairing our ADA posts had a look at it, and they said you really should get it taken care of, and so Maya just wanted me to ask you guys
Okay.
again that
Okay.
it's, you know.
Yeah, perhaps we could have somebody just look at that instead of that and the side of the building and the whole package.
I did just make a note of that and we'll
Great.
revisit that.
We ran into trouble with historic preservation. They want the lower half redone with that same custom millwork. And that pretty much stopped the train right at that point.
Okay,
And I think
There-
Maya's looking into partially applying for a preservation
Yep.
grant
Through Two Rivers.
through Two Rivers that maybe would cover it, so I guess that's why she also wanted to know something
Okay.
that maybe we could go forward, so, but if they ask,
Okay.
ask these.
so there's probably something. There's probably a reason for the hold that just hasn't been answered yet, is kind of what I'm hearing. Okay,
Yeah, I never.
So maybe we need to
never
touch-
appealed to the architect, given what he wrote, but, you know, we can. It's a wooden cladding on the exterior that is made to look It's beveled and made to look like cut stone.
Okay,
And, it's got so much paint on it that
okay. Now, do we know what type of material that is?
it doesn't, have a name in the lumberyard.
Okay,
There, it's something that we.
I'm just curious because
retail.
I've done some historical restoration work in other places, and usually those things are made of cypress or some random wood with a little more longevity. But that's why I was just curious, just to
There's
have a little
no,
more.
there's no, water resistant barrier underneath all of the cladding on that building. So anything that gets behind the cladding, and water always does, gets trapped in there.
Okay.
And then it tries to get out of the lower windows and then weeps out the corners, and that's where the wood decay is the worst. The estimate that I put together, the scope of work I put together would be to take all of the cladding off the north side of the building and put a weather resistant barrier up on it so that it drains to the outside, and then do what's called a ventilated rain screen. Basically put furring strips vertically and create an airspace in there so that the water can flow to the outside.
Okay. And I'm assuming the current sheathing is the typical 1-inch plank.
Well, it's
Spruce
clapboard
pine.
above, on the second story, it's clapboard. On the first floor, I don't recall how thick it was. It's quite a bit thicker than a normal cladding.
Oh, I'm talking the sheeting underneath the siding, like the,
1 by 4s.
yeah, okay, yeah, okay. Well, it sounds like we can follow up with a couple of things on that and just circle back and see where we're at. And go from there. All right. So moving on, here we are at public comment.
I'd just like to make an update, to the books that were sent out by the school for the annual, school budget votes. Made a comment about the absentee ballots being available at the town office from Tuesday to Friday from 9 to 5. But we are closed on Fridays and open Monday, so it's actually Monday through Thursday from 9 to 5 if anyone wants a ballot for the school as well as the special town meeting.
Okay. And that will serve as our formal update to that statement,
Thank you.
I guess. All right,
I'd just
Go ahead.
like to tell you that
Nancy.
Hello?
we are,
Just 1 minute, Robert.
we're working forward with Green Mountain Power to put power up into Woodlawn Cemetery. And
Okay,
this is the project to, you may not know about the fountain project, but there's a new fountain that's going in there this summer, but it needs that power. So we, the Historical Society, is working with Green Mountain Power to put that power up there. And then the bill for the power will come to the town and become part of the cemetery budget.
Okay.
After the power is up there.
okay, and this, by up there, are you talking just to the fountain, like
Just
where
to the
the,
fountain.
where the flagpole is?
But it'll have power up there. Terry's going to be working on it with Ray and Green
Okay.
Mountain Power and water.
Okay, I was just curious how far
It's just to the
up it
town.
was actually gonna end up. Okay. And I guess next up, I heard
I don't
Robert.
have any hands raised on Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know
Robert.
Robert was waiting, so. Robert, go ahead. What have you got?
You're doing a great job.
Well, thank you.
And, most importantly, I want to put a thank you out to Kristen and Julie and Patty who have updated the website and put protocol into the meeting that we're all attending. But most importantly, I want to also thank Terry Severy for pointing me to an operation and so forth regarding a rollover crash on US Route 100 North, and sadly, or maybe it will be presented in the near future. But this is something that the town, the drivers, and the parents of children need to understand. That accident was horrific, and unfortunately and sadly, I cannot get information from any authority. And so, with respect to those who were involved and those that are continuing to be involved, I will be patient and wait for what Terry told me or requested that I do. Ask for the report. So it's very important. And I just want to make this clear to the town of Rochester. This is not about me. This is about accountability, protocol, and I'm going to say the word accountability once again. This situation up there could have killed kindergarten children, first graders, third graders, fifth graders, or destroyed a bus. And where's the report? What's going on here? So there are a lot of questions, and my integrity, my honesty, my goodness to the town of Rochester has been questioned with regards to my respect for the taxpayers and all that are involved. So maybe that will make the point a little clearer with a major accident on a U.S. highway. I would ask
Okay.
Nancy Woolley, ask anyone to go forward and try to get an accident that was just evaporated. So everyone in the room that you're sitting in right now, Mr. Tietzel and everyone else, Patty Harvey remotely somewhere, or God knows where she is, but really reflect on this.
Okay, Robert, I am gonna
And
interrupt you, just because the time limit is up here. And I think we need to circle back to
Yeah,
your original, point,
I,
which was the question
no,
of
it's-
the
it's-
report for the accident. That would be something that would be available through the Vermont State Police. And as far as any of our town divisions, such as the fire department, we don't even allow people on a scene. So we
Well, isn't
are
there-
not
isn't
gonna
there
give out
a-
information
No,
about anywhere
excuse
we've
me.
been.
Wait,
So I
isn't
would
there a-
advise you to
isn't
just check in with the Vermont State Police on the progress of that accident report if you're really that interested in it. And that's where I would leave
Isn't
that.
there a deputy? Isn't there a deputy constable in the town of Rochester?
The constables in the town of Rochester don't deal with motor vehicle accidents on state highways. And even if they did, it would not be public knowledge until any investigation that's in progress is over and signed off on.
Okay, well, we, including myself and everyone present, will be patient to see what the report will present.
And it will come out, so I'm sure your patience will be rewarded eventually.
Patience is a
All right.
virtue. Honesty and integrity are more powerful than a nuclear reactor. So
I will
move
agree with
forward,
that.
And I hope that, well, I hope that I've been talking about the library for 10 years. The north wall is at, I'm sorry to distract you, but that north wall of the library is in default. It's absorbing all the water up. And we just listened to a dissertation, the clabbers, this, no,
Yep.
it's from the ground.
Robert, I'm gonna have to cut you off here. We have just discussed the
Thank you.
library wall, and we're gonna follow up with that. Thanks for your
Well, thank you
attention,
for- thank
and we're gonna move
No,
on.
I'm trying to thank you for your time and the disposition of this situation.
All right, you're welcome. Thanks for stopping in.
God bless you and all that are present.
All right, with that, let's see, we currently have nothing for executive session, the bills.
So, John's got
Oh,
something.
John, go ahead.
I've been coming to the meetings for a while now. My name's John Lambert. Out of respect to our service members and other things, I'd like to ask that when we're having our meeting here, we remove our hats and we say the pledge of allegiance, please.
Okay. Would think that may have to be something that we have to put on our agenda for discussion,
That's fine.
just to alter the, I don't even know what you would call that, schedule of the meeting. And put it up for discussion?
Yeah. But on the next agenda.
Okay. All right, so is that it for public comment? Okay. Bills, we've already moved through. And I guess with that, I'm gonna make an emotion that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.